It is a dark day in Adamawa State, a day soaked in grief, disbelief, and a deep, humiliating sense of vulnerability for the entire political leadership of the state. If you are watching this right now, you need to understand that what we are witnessing is not just another security breach. This is not one of those distant reports from remote villages we struggle to locate on a map. No. This is a direct hit at the symbolic heart of Adamawa State. The hydra-headed monster of insecurity has struck boldly, confidently, and devastatingly at the very doorstep of the state's #1 citizen. Now we bring you a story that has shaken the foundations of government, rattled every security architecture, and left residents in shock. The headline you saw is not clickbait. It is not a rumor. It is not a sensational exaggeration. It is the painful, horrifying reality of what unfolded in the dead of night in Kirchinga, a community that should, by every logic and expectation, be one of the safest locations in the entire state. This is not just any community. Kirchinga is the ancestral home of His Excellency Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri. It is the village where he votes, where he visits for festivals, where his roots run deep. Yet it is this very place, this symbol of heritage, identity, and political power that came under a brutal, calculated attack on Sunday night. We are broadcasting this special breaking news report to bring you the full, heartbreaking, minute-by-minute details of an incident that has shaken shockwaves through every household in Madagali local government area. What happened is more than an assault. It is a deliberate psychological strike, a message written in blood and fear.
Terrorists did not just invade the governor's village. They executed a prominent political figure, shattered a family, and dragged his children into the cold darkness of the Sambisa forest axis. Please like this video and subscribe. The victim was Honorable Thlama Sini, a former councillor, an unassuming, hard-working community leader who served his people with diligence and integrity. A man respected in the lanes of Kirchinga, a man whose name meant stability. But last night, that legacy was silenced, brutally, mercilessly. Let us take you straight to the core of this horrifying incident. According to local residents and family members who survived the invasion, the terrorists stormed Kirchinga at about midnight, arriving in large numbers and carrying heavy weapons. Their movement showed no panic, no hesitation, no fear of challenge. They operated with precision, confidence, and an airy sense of purpose, like men who had rehearsed this mission, like men who knew they would not be stopped. And they did not roam the village looking for targets. They headed straight, directly, unquestionably, to the residence of Honorable Thlama Sini. This was not random. This was not coincidental. The attackers clearly had intelligence. They knew who he was. They knew exactly where to find him. They came with a plan. The details of what followed are painful to recount, but necessary for the world to understand the scale of cruelty and the depth of insecurity that now grips the region. When the terrorists broke into his home, Honorable Sini was with his family, completely unaware that this would be his final night. According to eyewitnesses, the gunmen ordered him to follow them into the forest. Imagine that moment. A man in his own home, surrounded by the people he loves, being told by armed strangers to walk into the unknown.
But Honorable Sini did not pretend to be strong. He told them the truth. He explained that he was diabetic and hypertensive. He told them he was physically incapable of surviving the punishing trek into the rugged terrains of Madagali and the Sambisa border axis. He begged, yes, begged for mercy. He pleaded with them to leave him behind and take whatever they wanted. He offered them money, valuables, anything. He even told them he was ready to negotiate a ransom on the spot if his life and his children's lives would be spared. But these were not men seeking money. They were on a mission of destruction, a mission of intimidation. They ignored his pleas. They dismissed his medical condition. They showed no concern for humanity. With cold determination, they dragged him out of his house, forcing him toward the outskirts of the village. And there, under the unforgiving darkness of the night, they shot him dead. A community leader was executed simply because he was too sick to walk to his own captivity. But their cruelty did not stop there. As his lifeless body fell to the ground, the terrorists turned to his two young sons, boys who should be in school, boys who should be safe in their father's home. They pointed their guns at them and forced them to begin the very journey their father could not make. Today, as we speak to you, those two children are somewhere in the vast ungoverned spaces between Cameroon and Borno State, held by men who have no conscience, no mercy, and no limits. This attack is not just an act of violence. It is a direct psychological assault on Governor Ahmadu Umaru Fintiri. Kirchinga is his village. It is the place where he draws political strength. For terrorists to strike there, so brazenly, so confidently, is a message, a loud, frightening message. We can reach you anywhere. This incident shatters the illusion of safety that usually surrounds the hometowns of powerful politicians. It begs a dangerous question. If a former councillor in the governor's own village is not safe, who is? What hope does a farmer in Yola have? What hope does a trader in Mubi have? What hope does a child walking to school in Michika have? Security agencies are struggling to give answers, but we must place this event within the broader context of current insecurity in the north. This is not an isolated case. In the past days, we witnessed the mass abduction of schoolgirls in Kebbi. We saw the invasion of a Catholic school in Niger State with over 300 students taken. And now, Adamawa bleeds again. Please like this video and subscribe. Northern Nigeria is under siege from a synchronized, seemingly coordinated wave of terror that has defied military pressure, intelligence gathering, and political promises. The timing of this attack is also symbolic. Madagali is a frontline local government, one that sits at the edge of Sambisa forest and has endured more than a decade of conflict. Yet, despite repeated assurances that insurgents have been degraded, this attack proves they remain active, bold, and capable of hitting high-profile targets. As we speak, Kirchinga has been thrown in mourning. Residents are terrified. Many families have begun packing their belongings, fearing a second attack. The killing of Honorable Sini has shattered nerves. If a former councillor can be dragged from his home and executed, who can claim safety? Security operatives have reportedly deployed troops to begin a search for the kidnapped boys. But we have heard this story before. The terrain is harsh, the forest is dense, and the enemy is ruthless. Governor Fintiri is currently in Kaduna, attending a high-stakes meeting with northern governors and traditional rulers, including the Sultan of Sokoto, where the agenda is ironically the rising insecurity in the region. We can only imagine how devastating the phone call must have been, informing him that his own village was under attack, that his own kinsman had been killed, that his own political associates' children had been taken. It placed him in an impossible position. How do you offer solutions for the region when your own backyard has been violated? This tragedy will almost certainly force a more aggressive stance from the Adamawa State government. But for Honorable Thlama Sini, this comes too late.
Meanwhile, questions are rising about a new wave of criminals sweeping through the northeast. While Madagali has long been associated with Boko Haram activity, the style of this attack, the refusal to negotiate, the execution of a weakened victim, suggests the operations of splinter groups or newer factions seeking dominance. Whatever the case, the outcome is the same: a family shattered, a community traumatized, and a state left looking helpless. As we await an official statement from the governor's office and the police command, the people of Adamawa are demanding answers. Where was the intelligence? Why was there no rapid response? How can gunmen operate freely in a state with military checkpoints and curfews? The death of Honorable Thlama Sini must not become another statistic. It must be a turning point, a moment for the state and the country to ask whether enough is being done to protect innocent citizens. We pray for the safe return of the Sini boys. We pray for the comfort of the grieving family. And we pray that Adamawa, and indeed the entire North, will one day know peace again.